From the News Channel 5 Network, this is MorningLine.
Good morning, everyone. Thanks for joining us on MorningLine. I'm Nick Beres. It is a Thursday. It means it's Open Phones Thursday. Today, we're welcoming you into the show. Well, we do every day, but especially today because there's no guest, no specific topic we have to talk about. It's whatever you'd like to sound off on. And it's not just talking with me, but anything you share with us over the phone, on the air, will be shared with all of our viewers. And at any given moment, you think of all the different homes we go into now as our cable reach continues to grow. Thousands and thousands of potential homes out there. So you can share your point of view with everyone else, and they can share with you as well. So give us a call. The number is 737-7587. Anything you'd like to talk about. And you know it gets busy later in the show. You can start dialing it up. And if you're thinking, what should I talk about? I'm not sure. There's a lot that went on this past week. I'll give you some ideas because I've got a few stories that just jumped out at me, and Mary Elena goes over some of the stories. We pull some video as well for you, and thought we'd hit you with a few of these things, and then you can sound off on this or whatever else you might want to talk about. One of the big stories that continues to perplex me is this horrible shooting that happened in Kentucky yesterday at the rest stop. You know which one I'm talking about? 40-year-old Jamie Pimmel leaves behind a wife and an 8-year-old son. He had stopped at the rest stop. There's the victim there. While talking to his wife on the phone, he's approached by a man who tells him to turn off his lights. He says, okay, they're automatic lights. They'll go off in a moment. His wife's on the phone with him when she hears some interaction. Next thing you know, her husband comes on and says that he's been shot. And on top of it, police then arrive at the scene and they find that the suspect who shot him then killed himself. What on earth is going on here? All right, what was this? The shooter, who then ends up killing himself and commits suicide, what's going through his mind? Why did he do it? It seems entirely random what happened to this poor victim. So was this some guy that was maybe there getting ready to kill himself anyway, didn't like the fact that there was someone else there with the lights on, decided to kill him too just for the heck of it? Was it an attempted robbery? But if it was an attempted robbery, why does the suspect end up killing himself? This is one of those cases, and I know the police will be digging in today to find out more about who this individual was and why he may have turned the gun on this innocent person and then himself. Learn more. What the heck? And it's scary. It makes you think, do I ever want to stop at a rest stop? I'll be honest with you folks, unless it's one of those rest stops that actually is staffed, I tend not to stop. I mean, if I really have to go to the bathroom or something like that, I'm going to wait till I get to an exit and go to a filling station. And it's not that most of them are nice and clean, but I will pass on rest stops, and that's one reason why. What just happened there? You just never know what kind of creep, and I do mean creep with a capital C, is going to show up and pull something at one of these locations. I don't know if they need to set up more security, surveillance cameras, lighting, but that's such a tragic, sad story. And for this individual who is just on his way home to Owensboro, Kentucky from work, stops for a moment because he's tired to catch a breather, and someone shoots him. Just horrible, horrible story. So tragic. And I want to learn more about why this happened. I don't know that we'll ever find out. A couple other stories I want to throw out your way, and then, like I said, you can jump in on whatever you'd like. I did a story yesterday. Did you hear about it? Shark attack there along the Gulf in Florida, along the Panhandle, area that many of us go down to vacation every year. I go down along Fort Walton beaches, and here was a case where a guy was out there swimming the second sandbar, that's about 70 yards out, along with his wife and 11-year-old son. And this is Rich Huffnagel, who I actually interviewed down there. He is the chief of beach safety there. His lifeguards responded there to Okaloosa Island, Florida, where the individual was out there in the surf, imagine, 75 yards that way. And they think either a juvenile hammerhead or nurse shark came up and chomped him on the leg. 2 big puncture wounds is what Rich told me, along with a broken foot, but he was able to shake free and make it safely to shore, and fortunately the victim here is going to be okay. But he says, Rich tells me, look, these sharks probably got disoriented, confused. The moment they bit this guy's leg, realized it wasn't what we thought it was, let him go. They're not man-eaters. One thing, though, that we did hear is these guys were swimming just about 15, 20 feet down from where 2 local men were fishing. which means they were probably using live bait to cast out there. And who knows, that bait could have brought in. My rule of thumb when I'm down there, one, if I'm in the water and someone throws a fishing rod in, I know they have a right to it, but I'm going to go up there and ask them to go somewhere else if I was already swimming there. And vice versa. If someone's already fishing in a location right there, I'm not going in the water. That's live bait. Fishing is to catch things. It could have brought the sharks in. Anyway, that's what happened. But that guy's got a heck of a story to tell the rest of his life. He survived a shark attack. Let me see a couple other things. Did you see yesterday where all the candidates running for sheriff in Rutherford County were kind of put on the spot by a local radio station there, including incumbent Sheriff Robert Arnold, asked to do a drug test right there. You know, a lot of times, you know, they'll be at these debates and stuff, and someone will ask, would you be willing to take a drug test? And they'll say, oh, yeah. But they know it's not going to happen here right now. Well, that happened on the radio station. They all said, oh, yeah. Next thing you know, my buddy Chad Mills, who runs a terrific pharmacy there in Murfreesboro, walks in. It had already been prearranged, has all the drug test kits, and let's say, let's do it right now. Tested all of the 3 candidates and the incumbent sheriff for drugs, and happy to report came back negative for all of them. But I thought that was interesting, you know, just something like that. One other thing I want to hit on, because I see calls are already coming in, so I don't need to set the table beyond that, but I continue to be disturbed as someone who spends a lot of time on our lakes and rivers at the number of drownings we've had this year. The number of tragic, well, there's no other way to put it. You drown, it's tragic, of course. But most recently, a 74-year-old died yesterday after falling out of his boat on Percy Priest near Bear Island. He was not wearing a life jacket, apparently, when his seat broke and he fell into the water. It's still unclear if the victim here drowned or perhaps he had a heart attack once he hit the water. You know, and there have been a lot of younger people that have died. A young individual that jumped into some water that was not a strong swimmer died in the Cumberland earlier in the week. Look, I go out on the water and paddleboard an awful lot. I have a life vest that I take with me. I don't always wear it, but I have it with me. And a lot of people are going to say, well, then what's the point, Nick? You fall in. Well, here's the point. If I fall into the water, okay, there's a boat nearby, there's my paddleboard nearby, I'm not drowning unless I'm knocked out, and I suppose that in an unusual circumstance could happen. But short of being knocked out, I don't have any conditions where I faint, I don't have seizures, anything like that. I'm not drowning. I am a very strong swimmer, strong enough that I fall off my paddleboard, I'm going to be able to climb back on it. It's not like I'm going to be stranded out in the middle of the lake. So many of these drownings can certainly be prevented by life vests. And by the way, I do wear life vests when I'm talking about, you know, big surf that I'm dealing with or riptides. But if I'm just out there on a very calm lake, I have it with me. I have one of these vests that straps around my waist where you pull the yellow cord and it immediately inflates if I need it. But, and that's legal. That's the way to go. But many of these other cases, if you don't know how to swim or you're not a strong swimmer and you're jumping in the water, you really have no one to blame but yourself. All right? I hate to say that. I'm sorry, Mary, what did you say? Oh, and hey, Mary, I was wondering if we could find this video. Last story, I wanted to show you some quick video of an amazing scene. Look at this. She found this for us. It's been on the network news. This is Stockton, California from yesterday, where 3 bank robbers took off, were being chased. See the puffs of smoke? You can't hear it, but they went on a massive chase with 3 hostages. Listen to the gunfire. Riddled 14 police cars. I mean, this is something like right out of a movie. I mean, it was a shooting gallery in downtown Stockton. Eventually, police were able to corner the suspects. They killed 2 of them. Unfortunately, one of the hostages was also shot and killed. We don't know if it was through friendly fire from the police officers or the suspects who were holding them as human shields. But this was an amazing story. One of the robbery suspects did survive and is going to obviously be questioned today in detail about the plotting and planning. But look at all those squad cars. Just these days, the brazen nature of some of these crooks and the way they're ready to, you know, go down in just a flurry of bullets and take as many police officers down as they can. And thankfully, no police officers were hurt. Scary stuff. Bank robbers refused to surrender. And 2 of them were shot and killed. 1 survived, and he's going to be grilled before he goes away to prison for a very long time. The real tragedy in all this, sorry about the 2 robbers that got killed. I don't care. I do care about the poor suspect that was a human shield that did catch a bullet and died. Horrible, horrible. She was just a customer at the bank that they grabbed. All right, the number 737-7587 is the number. You want to weigh in on anything that I just talked about or have something else on your mind? Want to mention, too, if any of you would like to share any final thoughts or comments about John Siegenthaler, who was laid to rest. Just a wonderful man, a wonderful person, and a very, very important individual, not just to Nashville, the state, but the entire country. If you'd like to make a comment about John Siegenthaler, I'd love to hear that as well. All right, before we take our first break, we'll squeeze in one quick phone call. How about that? We'll go to Joe. Joe, good morning.
Good morning, Nick.
Hey, Joe, what's on your mind?
Oh, man, just listen to you lady in stores. All this craziness that's going on, like this shooting at the rest stop.
Yep.
Had a guy get killed over on Maple Crest over nothing basically here about a week ago, and I see where they caught the guy finally. But I just wonder if this crazy stuff that's happening, like these bank robbers and all this, is going on in the rest of the world, like some of the other countries like Germany or France or some of these other countries that seems to be up and up about things. But it seems like a lot of this stuff is happening in America, and it's beginning to disturb me when you can't even pull into a rest stop. Talking to your wife on a cell phone and some person shoots you for nothing.
Completely random. I mean, it's completely, that's what it seems like. I mean, this victim, 40-year-old victim, completely random, just stopped to get some rest driving home. I'm with you, Joe. Now, here's the thing. It's hard to say whether or not what we're dealing with here is a much higher escalation of violence in this country than some of these European countries you talk about. You hear it. I don't know if you were going toward the question of, guns and, what kind of limits can be placed on that, or what are they doing in other countries. I'm not sure it necessarily has anything to do all with guns. I think it has to do with other things culturally and mental health and all these other issues. I want to know what the motive was for this individual to kill this innocent man and then kill himself when it does not appear as though they knew each other at all. And if that's the case, that really, really is scary, because it certainly could have happened to any one of us. I mean, every once in a while we hear about someone getting shot, and we realize, yeah, that was probably because it was a drug transaction that went bad. And of course, that's tragic as well. But you're doing something, running with a racy crowd, something crazy might happen. But stopping at a rest stop that's supposed to be safe, so you can get some rest, so you can drive the rest of the way home, and you get shot. Who hasn't done that? And it's scary. Listen, we'll take a break on that note. When we come back, the number is 737-7587. Open phones Thursday. If you're on hold, stay there. We've got a lot of lines full. We'll get to as many calls as we can. When someone hangs up, a line opens, so call us. We'll be back right after this.